Okay, guys, so it's been a little while. Hopefully, you all are doing well and you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I haven't made any videos since the Fiscus stuff happened. I apologize. I want to start getting back to doing like a 1 to 2 videos a week. I have a number of projects I'm working on. I've got actually a number of blockchain projects I'm working on. I'm very excited for those. Hopefully, in 2022, those can be revealed, and it's going to be very exciting and very different. So today we are going to talk about the OHM version 2 migration. There is a migration that was announced some time ago with Olympus version 2. This migration is part of that. There's a number of changes taking place. There's a few steps that you need to do, and while the steps themselves are not that difficult, it's very helpful to have a video that you can just point people to say, hey, go here, follow those steps, and you can get that done. So kind of the purpose of a lot of these videos isn't that I'm bringing some sort of revelation by showing you how to migrate, but it's so that you can kind of visualize it if you haven't done it before, and or you can point your loved ones to this video and they can easily follow along. So here's something that we haven't looked at in a little while. This is my favorite graph. What does success look like? What people, I should say, what people think it looks like and what it actually looks like. People in most cases picture this is the way everything's going to go in life. When it's always good to be an optimist, and it's always good to picture the best outcome you want. And I'm not saying to picture the worst outcome, but just kind of anticipate that this is not realistic. It's good to visualize this, but it's good to expect this. And you'll notice you're going up and you fall. And then you go up and you fall. And you go up and you fall. And in life, whether it's crypto or anything else, what you'll notice is you start down here, you end up here, but look at the path in between. The path is marked with oftentimes great suffering. And as long as you're not flatlining, okay, if you don't start down here at the bottom and just flatline, the fact that you end up here, when you start here, is where you want to go. Just, visualize this, but expect this. And I always like to we haven't visited this in a while, but I always like to point this out because it is a very good reminder in anything in life. I think this applies. So what are we actually doing here? What is this migration? What is it for? Before we actually get into showing you how to do it, what are we actually doing here? Obviously, we're migrating to V2, but why? What is this actually accomplishing? So I'm going to show you a few documents I will link below. This is the official OlympusDAO finance documentation where they talk about the migration, what happens if you don't migrate. First of all, I'll just answer the quick question, is this time sensitive? And the answer is no, you do not need to do this right now. I would just do it personally, set it and forget it, but there's no rush to get this done, yesterday, I guess is what I'm saying, okay? There's not a lot of steps here, but just, if you want to time this around the Ethereum gas, that would be perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm doing in this video myself. So this is the OlympusDAO finance documentation. There's a number of other Medium articles that I'm going to list in here, how to get ready for this. And this is more or less, if you want to read through this, I'll kind of give you a 1,000-foot view of what we're doing here. Okay, introducing Olympus V2. We need to migrate in order to get to V2, obviously. So a number of things, there is a little bit of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt is what that stands for some of the newer people. And just basically, a lot of people were saying that, the way the multi-sig was set up with the original OHM was more centralized. Multi-sig essentially means that you have multiple wallet holders where you have to have a majority in agreement to make changes to the code, essentially. And people will argue that it was a little bit too centralized and, all that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of argument there. And obviously, we know the Ethereum gas fees is a nightmare for pretty much any DeFi protocol, not unique to Olympus, but pretty much any DeFi protocols having an issue with the Ethereum gas fees. It's been better lately, but it's still, any gas fees are, I don't see Ethereum being fixed anytime soon. So it's just a problem. And a lot of these, OG sort of protocols like Strongblock and OHM and some of the other ones are just having a hard time keeping up with a lot of these newer projects. So just kind of face the, facts of reality. if you have to pay, I don't know, $150 or $200 just to buy a token, versus less than $1 on like Avalanche or Fantom, you know, it's a problem. It's making Olympus, Strom Block, some of these other protocols, it's making it difficult for them to keep up with a lot of these newer projects. These newer projects are really staying clear of Ethereum, and very, you know, wisely so. So this is also fixing that. It's also adding in some new features to the bonding. If you are aware of what HectorDAO has done, by the way, a deep dive for HectorDAO is hopefully coming next, but definitely coming soon for sure. Hopefully after this video, I want to get back to doing deep dives again. But what HectorDAO has done is they were the first ones, not the first ones to develop this, but the first ones to actually implement the auto staking feature in bonds. Okay, so in other words, when you bond, you essentially give Olympus a treasury asset in exchange for a cheaper native token like OHM. Okay, same thing with Time, same thing with Hector. Nothing unusual there. But what HectorDAO did first was allowing those bonds to auto stake, because typically what you had to do is over a 5-day period, you got to redeem that cheap OHM that you bonded for. However, you still have to go stake it. So in those 5 days, you're not staking, right? In some of these other protocols, like like Time, for instance, on Avalanche, it's easy to redeem 5 times a day and go stake it because it's so cheap. But on Ethereum, you're not going to do that because the gas fees are, again, just exorbitant. So what HectorDAO did was allow the ability for when you are bonding, it's automatically staked. So in that case, you were getting SHEC. So what Olympus is doing in V2 is they are implementing that same feature so that when you bond for, OHM, you're going to have it staked during that redemption process. So you're getting it in a staked format, okay? So that's going to happen. There's also a lot of other things that they're doing. I'll let you read through this. There's a number of things. They're going to be implementing NFTs. Somehow bonds are going to be NFTs. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but it sounds interesting for sure. Different things are going to happen, okay? There's also, we mentioned on-chain governance, and obviously, fixing the gas fees by having OHM, or now it's kind of called gOHM, get into that in a moment, is going to be cross-chain. It's going to be available on a lot of different blockchains. Very, very, very small differences in the price. Practically no difference, I would say, quite frankly. So that you can go and buy OHM on Avalanche or Fantom or Arbitrum, or Moonriver or Polygon, or a lot of different blockchains. Take advantage of the low gas fees, and you don't have to worry about even dealing with Ethereum if you don't want to. Okay, so this Olympus V2 is really going to be what I think propels Olympus forward, kind of like a slingshot, to start competing with a lot of these forks again, because I think these forks have a significant advantage by being on other blockchains. So a lot of these fixes is going to fix a lot of the FUD. It's going to make it more decentralized. It's going to implement the bonding process to keep up with what HectorDAO did, and of course, operate, or allow you to operate with the Olympus protocol on another blockchain. Okay, so let's get down to it. So what do we do first? Okay, so we're going to go to OlympusDAO's front page, enter app. You should already be pretty familiar with this. You may need to connect your wallet. Go ahead and connect, click MetaMask. Now, first of all, let me get my right MetaMask account going here. Just one moment. Okay, account 1. Let's go over to Ethereum. Okay. This is going to take just a moment to refresh down here. But, so, you are going to have to go through a number of different transactions, okay? Now, I did this on a test wallet. I have a test wallet with just a little bit of OHM in there, just to test things before I go to my primary wallet, okay? Not because I think something wrong is going to happen, just because I want to do that before I make the video so that I have a chance to see specific things you have to keep in mind before I actually make the video on my main wallet. So you're actually going to have 4 different transactions. Essentially, when you come in here, you might have to connect, I'm not sure, but you are going to see right here on the stake link on the left side, you're probably going to see an approve button first. Okay, you're going to click approve. It's just like when you staked for the very first time. If you remember, you came in with OHM, you staked it to SOHM, but before you staked it, you had to approve, and then you staked. So same thing's going to happen here. You're going to come in here, you're going to see a button right here that's going to say approve. You have to click that. That's going to cost a fee. Now, let's go look at the Ethereum network. So this is really good right now, okay? So with about 50 GUI, I paid, I think the first transaction was about $14, which is the approved transaction. I don't remember what the second one is, so let's go ahead and do that and we'll find out. So once you approve, you need to allow that transaction to go through. This should automatically switch over to Migrate. If it does not, just refresh. Wait a moment and it should say Migrate. Okay, so I'm going to click Migrate. Olympus V2 introduces upgrades to on-chain governance and bonds to enhance decentralization and immutability. You can learn more right here. This is likely going to just bring you back to the page I already showed you. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. You can go from SOHM to SOHM again if you want to. Okay, however, what I'm recommending you do is actually get off of SOHM and go over to gOHM. The reason for it is because staked OHM, which is what SOHM stands for, version 2 is not going to be used as often in the new platform. A G, or governance OHM is what this is standing for, is going to be used for governance and a lot of the new features inside of Olympus version 2. So my suggestion is that you move over, come into governance OHM and just call it a day. What's going to happen is this. So you'll notice something here. Why are we going from 72 to 1.5? What's going on? So we are going from a value of 24,900 staked OHM, which equals 72 total tokens. Okay, so whatever the price of OHM is right now, it's got to be somewhere like 300, or I don't know what it is, $300 to $400, something like that. Whereas we're going to governance OHM. Let's look at that real quick here on CoinGecko. You'll notice governance OHM has a price of $16,795. So it's one token with the price going up. Okay, as opposed, kind of like when a lot of people were wrapping OHM, they were doing wrapped SOHM, so it looked like WSOHM on Avalanche. And what was happening with that is they had a single token rising in value as opposed to having multiple tokens, just every single rebase. You could have multiple of these. However, what's actually happening here is everybody's being moved into a single coin. So that's why obviously you have a $16,000 price. Okay. So it's not that you're losing anything. Just keep that in mind. You're not losing anything. It's just that you're swapping from a bunch of less expensive tokens to, 1.5, in my case, 1.55, expensive token. Okay, so you're not, and anytime you do this, this price will dynamically update. Okay, it will dynamically update. So if the price starts, becoming volatile again, you come back here later. It's not like you can arbitrage this. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. So yeah, that was my bad. I guess the approve button is on this page. Thought it was on the page prior, but that wasn't my bad on that one. So go ahead and click approve. And we'll see if the price has changed. So I always like to transact Ethereum in the fastest speed because I don't want it to ever get stuck. So let's hit edit, hit high. Yeah, I mean less than $14, right? And that's going to include the gas and the transaction. That's why it says 11. Go ahead and click confirm on that. So, okay, this will unlock the migrate button. My apologies on that earlier. I thought approve was on the prior page. So it's going to, a lot of people, they want to see a bunch of tokens, and I understand that, but there's really no difference other than the fact that you've got a $300-ish token to a $16,000 token, and obviously because everybody's migrating into one token, that's the reason for that. Once that's approved, it'll say big green button approved, hit migrate. So we're moving from staked OHM to governance OHM. That's what we're doing right here. Okay, so click migrate, essentially moving all of this over to this single token, which we will have to add into our MetaMask, by the way, when we're done. And the fees are still not bad. I'm going to still click edit and go fast. Only raised it about $2, so we're looking at about $26, probably 32-ish, give or take. Go ahead and click confirm on that. And that's with a GUI of 50, so, you know, GUI of 100, you might be looking at somewhere around $60 to $70. I was hearing $80 was pretty common, so kind of I would expect with the first 2 transactions, budget around $100 at most, give or take. Okay, I think that's fair. And then we're going to have 2 more transactions after this, and that's going to be to bridge it to the next blockchain. Okay, so it says migrated. Now you just hit close, and that's it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is we are looking at the balance difference. If this doesn't refresh, or if this doesn't update, I should say, go ahead and hit refresh. Okay. We're looking at the balance difference between what you would have had and what you have now in gOHM. Okay. So what we want to do in this case is we want to go ahead and add gOHM to our wallet. Actually, you don't have to do this, but I just like to see it. So to do this, highlight the little OHM button on the top, click gOHM right here, and it will automatically add that into MetaMask, and now you'll notice the balance is 1.555. Okay, sometimes rounding up or rounding down is the reason why you might have a very, very tiny difference after you've actually migrated over. So go ahead and click Add Token. So we have that done. You know, at this point, you could just sit here and you'd be fine. You could let this just continue staking in the same platform, and you'd be done. If you wanted to stake again, you'd have to approve, because this is a new, essentially new contract we're interacting, new smart contract we're interacting with here. So if you wanted to go and buy more and come back and stake, you would have to approve again. However, because gOHM is now cross-blockchain, why don't we bring this over to a cheaper blockchain? How about that? Does that sound like a plan? Because that's kind of what we've all been waiting for. So I think that would be wise to take advantage of at this point. Although if you wanted to stay on Ethereum and maybe you had no plans to, you know, stake anymore on Ethereum, you just kind of hodl this, I guess you could leave it here and you'd be fine. However, you know, it's going to make it way easier to dollar cost average into now gOHM on another blockchain. You know, so I think personally that's what I would like to do. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so let's talk about this for a minute. Some people are asking the question, can I go from gOHM back to SOHM if I want to do that? The answer is you can. I'm not for sure you can do it on another blockchain. I don't intend to do that personally. So maybe on like Avalanche, you can use Trader Joe to swap into it. I'm not really sure. I don't know, but the only way that I've personally seen to do it is to do it on Ethereum. So if you move off of Ethereum, my understanding is you have to come back to Ethereum so that you can plug into this dashboard and then click wrap on the side here. And what you can do is you'll see how it says wrap from and wrap to. Currently by default, it'll say SOHM and gOHM. So in this instance, what you would do is just swap these from G to S. You'd have to approve this. And then after you approve this, you would essentially, you know, unwrap it. You would be unwrapping from G and going over to S is what you'd be doing. Okay, so if that's a question you have, that, to my understanding, unless, you know, comment below if there's a way to do it on another blockchain, I'd be interested. I don't know why you'd want to do it, because my opinion is you want to go to G in this instance, just because it's going to include governance and a lot of the new on-chain features in V2. And you know, sohm V2 is not going to really be able to participate in a lot of that down the road. You'll still get rebases, don't get me wrong. It's just that you're not going to participate in a lot of the new features. So that is my suggestion. Go to gOHM. Okay. So let's talk about expectations for a moment, because when expectations are unmet, that's how people get frustrated. It's how relationships break up. People are expecting A and then B happens and then they're pissed off. So let's solve that problem. And set the expectations up properly. So the expectation up to this point has been that every 8 hours, basically, you know, at the time I'm recording this is 3 hours and 22 minutes, you get a rebase, also called an epoch. That rebase will give you essentially an APY if you let it sit for a year. It's an APY. In my instance, in this particular wallet, we've got 75 SOHM. So every 8 hours, I'm getting basically 0.27. Okay. This is going to work a little differently when you go to gOHM. And a lot of you people who have been doing the wrapped SOHM on Avalanche have a little bit of an advantage here because you guys have been doing this for a little while, okay? For most of us who have not been participating in that, what's going to happen is every rebase, you are not going to get more gOHM tokens, okay? So in instance, this wallet, I'm going to have 1.55. That's not going to change, okay? So what's going to actually happen? I'm going to try to find the best way I can to explain this because it's going to be a little bit different. Okay, so let me explain it like this. I'm going to take out my really fancy software called Microsoft Paint. I wasn't prepared to bring out some fancy drawing software, okay? Shout out to a gentleman in the Olympus Discord. I think I'm saying his name right. Strada Bada, I think is his name. I was in there questioning how the treasury is going to work. And again, I'm going to do an update video on this at some point, going over Olympus V2, how this is all going to work. I'm just going to give you a really, really quick explanation here. So we're going to draw a container. And this container here, we're going to call this container oops, my bad. We're going to call this container gOHM. That's the name of this container. Okay? Inside of this container, you're going to have something called SOHM. Then, 8 hours later, you're going to have something called SOHM. And then another 8 hours, you're going to have SOHM. And on and on and on and on. I think you get the point, okay? What am I talking about? What this picture gOHM, the token, as basically a giant container. And every 8 hours, there are rebases in the form of SOHM, which is what you're used to, but they're being pumped into essentially the token price. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to understand, but it's the reason why you only have a certain amount of that token. For instance, I went from 75 S-ohms to 1.5, essentially, gOHMs. That was my sort of claim ticket, if you will, based on the price and based on, you know, basically the migration difference between, what is it, 300-ish to 16,000, okay? So every time a rebase takes place, it's allowing the price to sort of increase. That's how you are realizing your gains on gOHM, okay? So you're not going to see more tokens necessarily. It's just that the rebases that take place go into this giant container called gOHM, and the price is going to be factored into that. So when you sell on another blockchain, for instance, it's not like you're selling out of gOHM into SOHM. You're just selling the increase in gOHM's price. Now you may say, well, wait a minute, what happens if the price falls? Doesn't that screw up your rebases? Well, I could make the same argument for when you are currently staking right now and the price falls. I mean, what good is it to have another token if the price is down 50%, right? I mean, you're theoretically a little bit behind. I mean, I guess it depends on a lot of things there. But so kind of look at the rebasing, and the price is sort of all baked into, you know, one token. That's really the best way I have to describe it. Again, I'll do an update on this and kind of how this works a little bit more detailed. If you ever have any questions, you know, the Discord is a great place to, you can talk directly with the policy team in there if you'd like. I just wanted to get kind of a 1,000-foot view for the video. This is not really going into this. I don't intend to go into this in detail. I'm just trying to show you my beautiful masterpiece here and try to at least help you understand how this is going to work so that you're not sitting there saying, wait a minute, I'm not getting more tokens. What's going on? You're not going to. Okay, so you're going to need to keep an eye on the price action a little bit more. Okay, so the buy and sell pressure as well as the rebases is all baked into one token. I hope that makes sense. Again, I will do an update on that as well. Okay, so now let's move off of Ethereum, thank God, over to another blockchain, because that's really what is going to be very exciting about this. So on the left side, click Bridge. Now you've got a number of blockchains to choose from. This is where it's going to get interesting. This is some decisions to be made here. So on top, you're going to have to plug into this website. I'm already plugged into it because I tested this prior to making the video with another wallet, but you're going to have to connect your MetaMask in. So on the top, you're going to see Ethereum. Now on the bottom, you're going to click, in my case, it says Avalanche, but yours might say something else. You've got a couple of options. You see all these options here. These are not all of the ones you can move over to right now. For example, if I click Harmony, you notice now I can't select gOHM to gOHM anymore. Okay, so there's only certain ones that are going to work. gOHM, okay. So my understanding is the following. Polygon, Fantom, Moonriver, Arbitrum, and Avalanche. Those are your current options. I heard of another one. Gosh, I can't remember the name. It starts with a P. It's not on here, so it doesn't matter. But nonetheless, currently Optimism, Binance Smart Chain, Boba Network, and Harmony are not available at the moment. Doesn't mean they won't be, but yeah. So out of the ones that exist, what should you choose? I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions here. This is not by any means gospel, but these are just some thoughts. So two that I would avoid. One is Fantom, and the other one is Moonriver. The reason is because, first of all, we have to think of a couple things here. I'm thinking, even before I came and did a little research, I had an idea of the one I wanted to go to, and that's Avalanche. And I had a thought that I was likely going to not entertain Fantom for the moment, because Fantom tends to be, especially today, the 18th of December, 2021, there was a big congestion problem on Fantom today. That tends to happen. Fantom really needs strong block, okay? They really need more nodes and validators. They've got to get their network more decentralized. It's a great network. It's fast. It's awesome when it works. It's just, it tends to get congested every so often. But in addition to that, we have to think of on-ramps and off-ramps, and it's not super easy to get into Fantom right now. You can buy Fantom, but getting it onto the Fantom blockchain, you can get the FTM token. Getting it onto the Fantom blockchain is a little challenging at the moment. It's not impossible. It's a little challenging. There's not a lot of on-ramps and off-ramps that exist. But when you look into gOHM on Fantom, it's actually difficult to find pairing prices. And I don't know if there's just a severe lack of liquidity right now. It's going to be available. It's just that I would hold off, and you can always move it later. For now, I would hold off on Fantom. There's just not much activity really on Moonriver with gOHM, so I would hold off on Moonriver, and I would hold off on Fantom. For me personally, I'm going to move over to Avalanche. There's a lot of on-ramps and off-ramps to Avalanche. It's easy to get on that network, that blockchain. It's easy to get off that blockchain. It's just, it's really a dream to use. So do what you want. I guess Arbitrum would be okay as well. I suppose Polygon will probably be just as fine. I've seen Polygon get congested, though. If you remember the CryptoMugen launch, anybody who was involved in that remembers the congestion. So it doesn't mean Avalanche can't be. It's just, for me personally, I've had a lot of positive experiences on Avalanche, so that's the one that I'm going to choose. And by the way, you can move it anytime you want. It's not like once you make a decision, you're stuck. You can move it around. So in my instance, I'm going to select Avalanche. I'm going to click the max amount up here. I'm going to have to click Approve. Okay, so this is our third transaction now. Okay, we had the Approve for the migration. That's 1. We had the actual migration. That's 2. Now we have Approve for the bridge. That's 3. Let's go ahead and hit Approve. All right, $9.68. Let's go ahead and select the fastest speed as usual. Hit save and confirm. After we do this, there's going to be a fourth and final transaction, and that's going to be the actual bridging itself. So we are taking the gOHM token from Ethereum, and well, right now we're approving the use of it, but after we do this, we're taking the token from Ethereum and we are basically moving it over to the Avalanche blockchain, also called bridging. Okay, and I'm glad that they built the bridge into the Olympus dashboard, because there's a number of bridges that exist. Some are good, many are really terrible. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so you don't have to sit here and watch this, and we'll come back once this is finished. Okay, so once that was finished, that approved the transaction. Now this button will change to bridge token. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Click bridge token. And obviously, just be sure you have enough Ethereum in your wallet to do all this. So this is going to be about a $28 fee. Go ahead and click confirm. This is the probably the longest transaction you'll have to sit and wait for. You may say, well, why do we need to do this? Couldn't we have just left it alone? Yeah, you could. Actually, what you could do, you could do this. Once you are finished on Ethereum and you've actually bridged it over, you could just leave it there theoretically, and then you could go buy gOHM on Avalanche anytime you wanted to buy it. You could do that. I kind of like having it all in one place. It's just a little easier to visualize for me personally. If I was being a little lazy, I could have just left it there and said, later when I'm ready to bridge it, I could bridge it. And then I can just dollar cost average into it on another blockchain anytime I want to, and I don't really have to have it over there. It's just, I like to have my bag in one place. That way, if I ever want to take profits down the road, I don't have to bridge it over, right? Because if it's living in Ethereum's world, and let's say I want to take some profits a month from now, and let's say we're, I don't know, something crazy is going on in this bull market, I now have to go over to Ethereum and bridge it over, right? And at that moment, the Ethereum network could be very congested and very busy. So I would like to have this finished and done already, so I don't have to worry about any of that kind of stuff when it's time to take profits. It's just ready for me. So that's mainly the reason for it. So once you start this bridge, it's going to basically show you how many confirmations are left until it's finished. Okay. This will eventually change to, updating your balance in Avalanche, and then finally your balance is updated. So again, I'm going to pause the video and we'll come back once this is finished. Okay, and we have successfully bridged over. You will know that because you will see down here on the bottom how it bridged over to gOHM. You're going to have a little bit of difference at the very end here. Don't be too concerned about that, okay? My understanding of that, and I may be inaccurate on this, I believe it's using AVAX in this process. Okay, and it's kind of deducting deducting the gas amount out of that, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, it's very minuscule, as you'll see. Okay, so what do we do now? Well, it's in our wallet, but we need to go add the token. Really quick, I'm going to show you, and this will all be linked in the description below, the different blockchain explorers. If you're not used to these blockchains, avascan.info is for Avalanche. You got arbiscan.io for Arbitrum. You got ftmscan.com for Fantom. Polygonscan.com for Polygon, of course. And moonscan.io for Moonriver. Okay, so we need to add it, obviously, to Avalanche, because that's what I moved it to. So we're going to come to Avascan, however you say it. We're going to just basically type in gOHM. Okay. Now, I don't know why there's two of them here, but obviously this one has no market cap, so click the one on the top here. And if you click this, it will copy it. This is called the contract address. This is the address for the gOHM token on the Avalanche blockchain. Come up to metamask. We are going to switch from Ethereum over to Avalanche. Come to the very bottom and click Import Tokens. Paste your contract address at the top. These two boxes automatically get filled in. Click Add Custom Token. When we do that, you'll notice, in my instance, I have a balance of 1.555. So then import tokens. That's it. We are finished. We are absolutely finished at this point. But obviously, if you are using any of those other blockchains, you need to go and search. Just for instance, like if we're on Arbitrum, gOHM, it's kind of the same thing. Oh, whoops, sorry. Don't hit enter. Click the very top one. Same thing. So different contract address, and then you've got Fantom, kind of the same scenario. gOHM right here. You're going to take this contract address, plug that in if you were using Fantom, and so on. I mean, you can see people are using Fantom. It's just, yeah, I would hold off on Fantom. If you want to do it later, maybe do it later. I guess you can kind of divvy this up among different blockchains if you want as well. So go to the, let's go back to the Olympus dashboard. Now here's kind of a disappointment for me personally. I was kind of hopeful, even though they never said this, so it's not their fault, it's my fault. Again, unmet expectations, it was just an assumption on my part, that we would be able to plug into this dashboard even with other blockchains. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You'll notice I'm on Avalanche. There is no way to plug into here and see my rebase and all that kind. I just can't do it. So disappointing for sure. But how do you track your rewards if you're not able to come in here and hit stakes? So they have a documentation on this. Let me see if I have it in front of me. Basically, in their documentations, they talk about right here, how do I track my rebase rewards? So I'll link to this again, but you're going to notice current index on the top. Okay, so what you can do is the following. When you actually perform this migration, keep track of what this index says right here. In this case, it says 48.6. Okay, you can literally just type that into a notepad file and save it somewhere, or write it down, 48.6. Why do you need to do that? The reason you need to do that is because every rebase, this index will slowly move up. And then all you have to do is just divide the index, and then you'll know what your gain is. Okay? So in the example they show here in the documentation, the index started at 8.8, and later on, over time, over different rebases, it ended up being 13.2. So you just divide the difference, and those are your gains. In this instance here, 13.2 divided by 8.8 is we have a 1.5 difference, so the balance has grown by 1.5 times. Now, some people are saying, hey, I'm not seeing 5,000%. That's advertised. I'm not seeing this. I'm only getting 600%. Let me show you the calculation on that. I've shown this several times. Let me just show it again. Okay, you can actually come into this dashboard, even if you don't have any OHM on Ethereum. Just come in here and you can look at this. That's how you obviously get the index later on, and you can look at something called the next reward yield. Let me open up a calculator here and let me show you something. How to calculate this. So you'll notice it's 0.3670. The way you calculate this is the following: 1.00 and then the number 3670. Raise it to the power of, and you can do that by clicking XY, or hit shift and the number 6 on your keyboard. In this case, I could just do this and enter 1095. The reason we enter 1095 is because there is 3 rebases per day, 90 rebases per month, because 30 times 3 is 90, 1095 in a year. Okay, it allows us to see whether or not the reward yield is matching what this says on the top of 5424.7. So you're going to take 1.00367, raise it to the power of 1095, and you get 55.21, long number. You multiply this by 100, there's your answer. So it's going to be a little off, just a little bit. Okay, but that's how you can check to see, hey, am I actually getting the right reward yield? The question is, why is this 5,000? It's not supposed to be 5,000. That's true, it is not. There are some migration issues that are being worked out. Okay, so keep that in mind. You can check the Discord again. I need to make a whole video going over V2, so I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here. I just wanted to quickly show you, keep track of the index, go write this down somewhere. And by the way, what this index actually means is if you bought one OHM at the very first day it launched and you kept it alone, you'd have 48. That's what this means, that's current index, so it's just showing the growth rate. So here's how you track it on another blockchain, and here's how you can check the yield to see if it's matching up to the APY on it. And that's it, guys. So, you know, a little bit of a long video. Just wanted to kind of give some thoughts and give you some things to consider and think about when you're doing this migration. It's, again, not time sensitive. You can wait as long as you want to do this. I would get it done sooner rather than later, personally. I wouldn't wait too long. If you want to digest this video for a little bit, feel free to send this to somebody if they want to know how to follow along and do this. That way it can save you some time. And I appreciate you guys. God bless, and until next time, take care.